Hey everybody, Alex here for Nerdy Inc. coming at you with another episode of Our Favorite Frontier, the only Star Trek podcast on the internet that's hosted by me and Nick. Hey Nick.
Hey Alex, how are you today?
I'm doing all right. I got some hype for Avengers coming out this week. And for our listeners, it's been out for probably about a month now. But we're recording it the day before Avengers, and I'm very excited.
Wait, Avengers comes out this week?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta see that and Super Troopers. Oh my god.
Yeah, man.
Thank God I have Movie Pass for only $9.95 a month.
How upset will it be if Movie Pass is dead? We'll be watching this podcast and find out that Movie Pass is dead.
There's no way.
It's losing a lot of money, man.
Really? Well, that's what we expected.
It is. We just got to hope that it'll stay around right up until that point in which
we paid for it.
They start selling our data and then make up for it. Which, you know,
Facebook already did it. I'm not concerned.
I got nothing. They got nothing that isn't already out there, so I'm kind of okay with it, but whatever.
Alex, you know what? I'm aching a lot today. I feel old. I feel like I'm aging at an accelerated rate, and I just don't know what to do with myself.
Did you talk to any shirtless dudes today?
Actually, to come think of it, no, I did not.
Oh, then sounds like we have a mystery on our hands.
Why you say that?
Because we just watched the episode Unnatural Selection.
Captain's log, stardate 42494.8. The Enterprise is bound for Star Station, India, to rendezvous with a Starfleet medical courier. We've been told only that our presence is imperative. Hopefully, the mission will give me further opportunities to assess the performance of our new chief medical officer. Come.
Nick, what did you think of Unnatural Selection?
Well, it was nothing like the Muse song, and I was very disappointed about that.
I don't know the Muse song, so I'm indifferent to that.
That's Off the Resistance. It's a good song, but this was not a good episode, so I do not want to intertwine them in conversation any longer.
Okay. So you did not like this episode?
Well, because I hate What's-Her-Nuts, the doctor there.
Yes, that was the thing that interested me, because you texted me this afternoon. You had some very colorful language about this episode.
Do you mind if I say it? Is it okay for the kids?
You can say it. You can say it.
Okay, I said this episode can go fuck itself.
And I watched the episode, and I was like, oh, this isn't too bad. Primarily because I was expecting something incredibly, incredibly terrible, like Nagilum, that babyface motherfucker from a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was expecting something wildly stupid to happen, and instead it was only just kind of dumb. So I was a little bit... I think you had set the bar so low for me that this was above my expectations, that I didn't have any strong gripes about this
you've
episode.
seen it before.
Well, there's that. Oh, I didn't remember that, though. When you told me this episode can go fuck itself, I was like, oh, man. I had no memory of it, so I was excited to see what...
Just as you know how I feel about that character and what they were trying to show me as a premise and a possible promise of what was going to happen, I was very upset at how they resolved the issue. And not on how they resolved it. Well, I do have an issue with that, but the fact that they even resolved it also bothers me.
Yes, so let's just jump into it. Do you want to recap this, or do you not want to?
You go for it. You go for it. I feel like I did it last time, right?
Okay. So the Enterprise is flying through space when they get a distress call from a spaceship. They go out to the spaceship and find that everyone is dead from old age. Riker conveniently points out that the captain of the ship is no older than him, even though he looks like a very, very old man. And they say, well, they had just come from space station... they had come from... Where'd they come from? Charles Darwin Station?
Yeah, Darwin Station.
Darwin Station, where they had been doing genetic engineering on children to make them super awesome. It's strange they would be doing genetic engineering in a world where Khan exists, but we'll skip right over that. And they basically... The doctors are all very, very old. All the scientists on that station are old and appear to be going the same way as the people on... what was the spaceship called? The Leafus? It had a dumb name. Lantry. Lantry. I knew it was something arboreal. The doctors insist, though, that it was the Lantry's fault. They did nothing wrong. And Pulaski goes, well, let's beam over one of the kids and do some science and investigate them. And she says, well, there's nothing wrong with the kid. So I want to just, put me in a shuttlecraft and we'll do some one-on-one science. But when she does that one-on-one science, indeed, she looks at the hot shirtless dude that just beamed over. And all of a sudden she starts displaying the symptoms of aging, which starts with arthritis. She goes, well, looks like I got it. So I'm going to go over to Darwin Station or whatever and just die of old age. Data can go back and figure it out. But then they discover, it's the antibodies in the shirtless dudes. They're the ones that... It's some bullshit science that doesn't make any sense, where the antibodies go out of the body.
The antibodies are aggressive enough to attack their aggressors that are born.
But they're...
Which mutate into a new type of disease that's airborne, which the older people have been infected with, but the children are immune to.
Yes, but the antibodies can leave their system is the big thing. The antibodies can go out, and they started attacking.
They're like Reagan. They're like Reagan's Star Wars plan.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. But they discover that they can, if they have her DNA, they can put that as basically the basis for a transporter, and if they beam her over, they can basically undo the issues caused by the antibodies, because it has the source DNA and then it has her new DNA, and it sort of rewrites it to look like the old DNA, which is a little horseshit. But
I was so pissed.
Yeah, but they do that with Dr. Pulaski. They're like, yeah, it works, and they do that for the rest of the scientists, and then they say, all right, guys, now you gotta figure out this. And then they blow up the Lantry. And that's the episode.
So I knew it was going to be a Pulaski episode as soon as the beginning started, because the last episode kind of started like this. Like, two people are going to casually talk about this person, or something's going to be brought up about this person, and then they're going to be the subject of the episode. So they talked about how it was Picard talking to Deanna about what she thought of her, and just a bunch of crap like that. They get into a conflict themselves because they're both level-headed senior officials who go by the book. So they butt heads, and that's kind of the episode, is kind of show that her heart and her, doesn't always match with her brain, and she fights more with that, which can get her into trouble when she gets herself into hot water because she was using her emotions. So that was really the premise and theme of the episode. But the fact that she didn't die was fucking ass.
Well, that was never going to happen, as much as you would have liked that to happen.
They killed Yara with nothing, and then Beverly is out of my life, and I'm kind of resentful, and I feel like they could have easily done the same with her.
Well, to be fair,
we were so close.
They wanted to keep Pulaski on the show. So
don't know why.
The big thing about this episode that did work for me is, I know you don't like Pulaski, but I think they did a good job of fleshing her out. Because the thing I had forgotten about her, they said, oh, she's a very good physician. She's well done, but her devotion to medicine, and that's the thing I liked this episode, is how they illustrated. Even when they talk to the old captain, it says, oh, she's a big admirer of you. And Picard is surprised by that, because he goes, well, she's been fighting with me all this time. And she's very stubborn. The thing that illustrated to me is that she won't let her heroes get in the way of her doing what she thinks is right. And that's one thing I did like about this episode, is that it made her stubbornness, granted, her racism is, I'm not saying her racism.
Such a racist, and almost a racist till the end.
She's still a racist. Her stubbornness is a bit more justified in my mind, because it shows that she doesn't just fight with Picard because it's a power struggle or a metaphorical dick measuring contest, if you will. It comes from a place of, I truly care about medicine and science, and I'm going to practice it the way I feel is right, and I'm going to go to bat for what I think is right. I did enjoy that aspect of the episode. The science was bull hockey.
I don't understand.
I'm going to confess, when I finished this episode, I opened up the Wikipedia page and reread it to try to see if I can really understand it, and it doesn't make a lick of sense.
Did they just pull that out of their ass? If we use her DNA, and just, I was like, that was never brought up earlier.
It kind of was, only because they did mention, we can look at the old transporter logs to try to see what the disease is, and that way we can isolate the disease. And so that did establish that the transporter does keep a record that can be used for comparison. They did set that up. However, the idea that a single strand of hair could account for all of these differences and then rewrite it, that's where it took a bit of a jump for me.
I'm very upset with that.
Because it would make sense that there could be like Chief O'Brien said, we keep it for security reasons to know, exactly what came through the system. But, the idea that it could rewrite DNA, granted, no, it's bull hockey. Sorry, bull hockey. The only thing a transporter's been able to do in the past is transport people or split Captain Kirk into two different people.
Could we just do an episode of that?
We'll get to it.
Can we just do an OG episode?
We'll get to it.
Oh, I love that episode so much.
It is good. So yeah, I think they really stretched the limits of what the transporter can do in this episode. But to be fair, that does happen down the line in several different shows. I know in Star Trek Voyager, two characters get merged into one. It's almost the opposite of The Enemy Within.
Look how they look. They look like one of the persons, and the other person's personality is trapped inside them.
Oh no, it looks like a fucking nightmare of a Frankenstein.
Okay, well that makes sense. That's like kind of like the Spaceballs thing, where he's backwards and he sees his ass.
Yeah, no, that episode it's all about the morality of if this is technically a new individual. Is it moral of us to kill this new creature that doesn't want to be split up? But it's another conversation that we're actually never going to have because we're never going to review Voyager.
Correct.
Anyway.
I don't have the time.
And it's not worth it. Voyager is... Imagine every single podcast episode is us saying, yeah, it's all right. And
that's how I feel now.
Yes, but we only have to do this for 2 seasons, whereas there's 5 seasons of great television that we can discuss.
I'm on board. I'm trying to think of something else I want to talk about. Wesley was just there.
He had very few lines, and that's the best way he can be used.
More prominent than Worf, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's true, but to be fair, you can't have everyone be front and center all the time. If Wesley, Wesley's not going to talk, all right, it's fine by me.
No, I was good with it.
I would like to talk about the fact that Chief O'Brien is in this episode and he finally has a name.
Okay, what's your obsession with Chief O'Brien?
I really like Chief O'Brien. He obviously does very little, if not nothing, for the first 2 seasons, but he eventually becomes a little bit more he becomes basically a recurring guest character. And he does get...
Yeah, because he's been in a few episodes.
Yeah, well, this is the first time he has a name. Because I think he was just Transporter Chief. That's how he was credited before. But he does become a recurring guest character. And then around season 6, he leaves the show and becomes a principal main cast member of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. And so Chief O'Brien is actually a fairly big character in Star Trek. So it's nice that I finally get to see Chief O'Brien do transporter stuff.
Now, Chief O'Brien goes to Deep Space Nine. Was Deep Space Nine filmed the same time as Next Generation?
The last 2 years overlap, yes.
Really?
The last 2 years of TNG are the first 2 years of Deep Space Nine, and then And then actually, in the last 4 years of Deep Space Nine, Michael Dorn, when TNG is over, Worf goes over to Deep Space Nine as well. And you get lots of fun. You get lots of fun Worf stuff.
Well, why did we have 2 Star Treks playing at the same time?
Because Star Trek was incredibly popular and was making money hand over fist, and so the producers are like, "We want more of it." So they made more of it.
So Voyager happens after Deep Space Nine.
Voyager happens concurrently with the second half of Deep Space Nine.
So they have pretty much 2 Star Trek shows on for a while.
Yeah, there was like a 14-year stretch of just nonstop Star Trek on television. Pretty great, right?
What time to be alive?
Yeah, too bad I was like 6 years old and couldn't appreciate it.
Yeah, we were appreciating other things like all that and Keenan and Kel.
Hey Arnold, SpongeBob.
Hey Arnold. Yeah. I don't think we were 6 when SpongeBob came out, but we get the point.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, the big thing about this episode for me was that it was just kind of boring, and the science wasn't.
Science was bullshit.
The science was bullshit, but also it wasn't interesting. I can take bullshit science if there's an interesting idea underpinning it. Like, wow, this is a really big philosophical question, that makes us, rethink what it means to be human and this and that. But it's not interesting, the science. And so all you really have at the end of the day is you have a fuck off, cat. I don't want my cat to fucking forget. All you have at the end of the day is you don't have good science, you don't have good morals. So all you really have is a character episode about Dr. Pulaski, and like you said, if you don't like Dr. Pulaski, then you really got nothing this episode. And
yeah.
You don't like Dr. Pulaski, so for you this episode was worthless, right?
Yeah, well, my problem was, I understand that she's not gonna die. That's my joke. I don't like her. She was gonna die. She was so close. Oh, she gets saved. I'm upset as a human being because of who I am. I'm an awful person. But the way they did it is what really drives me nuts. I get you're not gonna kill her. It's not gonna happen in the first few episodes. If they're eventually gonna do that, whatever. But, it's not gonna happen within the beginning of the season. I know that. But the bullshit reason and bullshit excuse to save her and how they saved her is what I was upset about. I'm just like, come on, she really should be dead. You shouldn't have pulled any of that out of your ass.
Yeah.
That's my problem with it. I feel like it's just shit writing.
That's fair. I can basically for me if this was Beverly Crusher or the science was better, I would have said this was a okay to good episode.
Yeah, it was Beverly because I'm already established with her. I understand that we're trying to really get an introduction after the introduction and finally understand this character, but it just makes no sense that they got rid of her, in a writing standpoint. She was a good character, I thought. Yeah, whatever. I'm over it. Let her live. Her old racistness. Whatever. Have it.
Well, I do have good news for you, though. The next 2 episodes are both good.
Okay.
Next week's episode is called A Matter of Honor, and I don't have a great memory for it, but I know it was one that I enjoyed. It features Commander Riker and a big bunch of Klingons. And then the next episode is the best episode we'll ever see. Not we'll ever see, but the best one we will have seen so far, by far, and is considered the first great Star Trek episode.
All right, I'm excited.
So we got next week is good. The week after that is excellent.
All right. Well, I'm excited.
You should be.
Yeah.
You should
I'm
be
glad to be a part of it.
Any other closing points to make?
I got nothing, brother.
Cool. I'm going to go fight with my cat to get her to stop messing around with my desk because she's been antsy tonight because I came right home and recorded the Star Trek podcast. And she's not going to see me tomorrow because I'm going to be watching Avengers, even though she doesn't know that yet.
I'm sure you told her.
Yes. All right. Well, join us next week when we discuss A Matter of Honor. and we will see you later.
Bye-bye.
Our Favorite Frontier is hosted by Alex Russo and Nick Caladona, edited by Alex Russo, and produced by Nerdy Inc. Be sure to follow us on YouTube to catch all of our videos, as well as like us on Facebook, Twitter, and whatever other social media we have.